it's going to be the blizzard. It's going to be a whole lot different when you look up and you got a whole track team coming at you and you got Hilaire. And then I just got one question. I can't give a pick until Thursday. I can't. But let me just ask this one question, and then I'll turn it over to y'all. And y'all know where I'm going because it's the worst kept secret who I'm picking. Is number 15 playing in this game?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm good. That's all I'm going to say. They spot people's points like you spot little brothers. Like you go out with your little brother and say, all right, we're going to play to 32. You get 20 in the ball, and then you look up and you done won 32-20. And that's how they spot people points. They didn't even start playing until they were down 2 scores. And I'm going to keep giving y'all this stat because it went up again. Last week, Patrick Mahomes won 80% of the games he was trailing by 2 scores. That is now 83% of the games he's won when trailing by 2 scores. So I ain't giving a pick now. 54. Yeah, I ain't giving a pick now. I'm just saying, number 15 playing, right? Okay. Yep. All right. They can figure everything else out.
So you're not giving me your pick this show, PLR?
I can't. It'll leak. Your show's popular. It'll leak before I can do it on Thursday.
And Joe, we've got another show on Thursday where we have to do our picks on the Sports Cave. We can't give the picks away now.
I'll get Ed Smith's pick.
It's the worst kept secret. I just asked one question. Number 15 playing, right? The aliens. Yes. The alien playing, right? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Baby Goat's playing. Yes.
He ain't Baby Goat. Listen, y'all stop saying that. He ain't Baby Goat.
He's Baby Goat, Paul.
Jimmy Johnson said on, I forget what show it was on. I think it was Dan Patrick on Monday. They asked him if he could take any quarterback. And this dude has seen a bunch of QBs. He said to start a team, he would take Patrick Mahomes over any quarterback he's ever seen. And he said it's not based on living in the moment. He said there is not a pass he can't throw, and there's not a defense he can't read. So I understand Tom Brady is the best based on his accomplishments. I'm not taking that away from him. You get to 10 Super Bowls as a quarterback, hell, you the man. There's no pulling that away from you. But I'm going to tell you something. If this dude goes back to back like this, and he went from MVP to Super Bowl MVP, and if they win on Sunday, he'll probably be Super Bowl MVP again. In this age, this era, that cat is doing something. That's all I'm saying.
For sure. No question about that.
Absolutely.
So go ahead, Ed.
Okay, so for me, I agree. I'm going to go with Ed. Both quarterbacks need to stay, their jerseys need to stay clean. They need to be able to get the ball to their targets for obvious reasons. They need to score points. And like Paul said, you put KC down 9-0, you put them down 10-0, down 10 points like they were last year against the 49ers. Doesn't bother them. It's what they do. They're so cool, calm, and collected. They follow the lead of their head coach. Andy Reid is unflappable. He's just on the sidelines doing his thing. Eric Bieniemy does his thing as their offensive coordinator. Steve Spagnuolo dials up the defense. And number 15, the baby goat, the alien, whatever you want to call him, he just goes out and does his thing like he did last week against Buffalo. And 15 is playing, right, Paul? You said that, right?
Yeah, 15 playing.
Yeah, he's playing. Yeah. Oh, so 15 is playing, 10 is playing, and 87 is playing for Kansas City? Is that right, yes. Ed? And yeah, okay.
And number 25 on offense.
25 is playing?
Yeah. Okay. And so is Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell, Paul.
Him too.
Le'Veon. Okay. Ed, is number 32 playing? Is the Honey Badger? He's playing too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All in.
All of the above.
By all accounts, Sammy Watkins is going to play too. So, like we said on the show earlier, Paul, that's another weapon that. Yeah, and yes. That's another weapon that Tampa has to deal with. But both quarterbacks again need to stay healthy. They need to avoid as much pressure as possible. Their offensive lines are going to face major pressure because, as Paul and I talked about, I think we're going to see a lot of man coverage on Sunday, where these defensive lines, these defensive linemen and these linebackers are going to come full force at these quarterbacks because they know if they don't, they're going to get sliced and diced all game long. And those cornerbacks and those safeties, you're going to see a lot of too high safeties, a lot of man coverage, because they're going to dare each other's opposing quarterbacks to beat them. And that's what's going to happen. But if Jason Pierre-Paul and the rest of those guys for Tampa can get pressure on Mahomes, that's going to make it harder for him, and vice versa. If the Chiefs can get pressure on Tom Brady, if Tyrann Mathieu and Daniel Sorensen can get pressure on him like they did against Josh Allen last week, then he's going to have a tough time. If Tom throws 3 interceptions in the Super Bowl, ooh, man, that's an uphill climb for the Buccaneers, especially if you give the baby goat 3 more extra chances than he really should have. Then the Buccaneers are going to be in deep trouble if that happens. So avoid the turnover game for both quarterbacks, for both teams. That's key. That's paramount.
And I got a question for you because you were a tight end. Real quick. When you're rushing a quarterback like Mahomes and you're staying in the block, is it better to rush him wide? Because if you rush him up the middle, he can move out and slide. And he could throw across his body about 50 yards downfield. So how do you rush him? Do you bull rush him up the middle? Do you speed rush him off the edge?
You gotta, Paul, that's a great question. What you have to do, you have to give him all kinds of different looks. If you just have one attack, your attack's not going to work. What you want to do is a lot of twists in the middle to try to free up guys to get pressure up in his face. You also have to respect his scrambling ability. So you have to have lane integrity when your guys are going up the field. They can't go too far and they can't get cavalier and try to duck inside too much, because then you get sealed and then he gets on the edge. We all know his first priority, he's not a scrambler to run, he's a scrambler to throw. So now he gets outside the pocket. Now you have an extra 2 or 3 seconds to cover a Kelsey or a Hill, and that's disaster. So what you want to do, you want to do all kind of different twists and everything. And then also every now and then you got to bring the heat from the secondary, but you got to disguise it. You can't let him see it too early, because if he recognizes it, you're toast. So there's all kind of, and that's the thing about the challenge for Bowles is to disguise and scheme. And if you can accomplish those 2 things, you'll have some success. But if you let him, like, you just can't come with a straight, well, we're just going to go up the field and try to contain him in the middle and push, Now you got to have all kind of different things coming where he's not comfortable. You always hear the term about we got to make him uncomfortable. We have to make him uncomfortable where his feet are moving and he's looking to see where it's coming from and where he's not comfortable in getting to his spot, meaning the Russ is coming up, so I'm just going to step up here real nice. And you got to let him know you might step up and there might be a twist coming around the corner waiting to greet you. So that's the challenge. And that's, and you got to remember, this all happens in 5 to 7 seconds. So it's going to be interesting to see how Bowles attacks him. But like I said, the challenge is met on both sides. And I'll throw out one thing, and I'm going to shut up after this. One of the unique things about this Super Bowl is these teams, AFC, NFC, they had a chance to play a few weeks ago. So it's almost situations, and that's even more important because it wasn't like week 1 or 2. You've seen these guys play just a few weeks ago. They have a lot of tape to work off, and obviously there's going to be a lot of adjustments and people doing different things. But that's, one of those unique situations where, they just saw each other recently. They're going to build off what was successful, kind of throw what wasn't in the trash and figure it out, and then also try to come up with a couple surprises on both the offensive, defensive, and special team sides of the ball. So, that just adds a little more flavor to the game, the fact that they just went to the dance. Although it wasn't the prom, it was just the spring dance. Now this is the prom coming up here this week.
Yeah, it was the spring social, huh, Ed?
There you go.
Yeah.
Spring social. You didn't even take that real girl with you. You just took the one that just said yes. You didn't take the one you wanted to.
It was a Sadie Hawkins. It was a Sadie Hawkins.
There you
go. So Joe, you asked how do you stop Patrick Mahomes? You got guys. Okay, I'm looking at the Buccaneers defense. You've got 4 of the best linebackers in the game. You got Jason Pierre-Paul, you got Devin White, you got Levante David, you got Shaq Barrett. That's how you stop Patrick Mahomes. You rush those guys to no end against Patrick Mahomes and flush him out of the pocket, keep him contained inside the pocket. You've got to keep him accounted for at all times, because if you don't, PLR, Ed, Joanna, we all know that Patrick Mahomes, the baby goat, will slice you to pieces. So they got to keep pressure on him. And Ndamukong Suh's up there. Raheem Nunez-Roches, William Golston. That front seven is outstanding. So all 7 of those men have a job ahead of them for 60 minutes of football to contain Patrick Mahomes and make him do things that he is not accustomed to doing. And if they don't, look out. It'll be like the second quarter. It'll be like the second quarter against Buffalo when they ran up 21 straight points. It could be that ugly.
Ed, I think you're 100% wrong. The only way you stop Patrick Mahomes is don't let him leave a hotel.
There's another way.
That's true. Yeah, that's another way. Yeah.
There you go.
Let me find that banner. Where's that banner? How do you handle Patrick Mahomes? I should have put that in the banner. Sorry.
Yeah. You lock him in a hotel.
Okay.
I want to go back to one thing that Ed mentioned, Ed Cole mentioned earlier, with Brady and the picks that he had against an unnamed team.
Okay, go ahead and say the same. Go ahead and say the Packers. I'll say it. PLR. I know you don't like it.
We saw how that. What was the outcome of that? Tom Brady threw was it 3 picks
in a row?
Yeah, and he only got 6 points out of it.
Yes,
in a row.
In a row.
He still won. He still came out the winner. What, if anything, Tom Brady does anything of this nature against Patrick Mahomes and KC? Does Tom Brady even stand a chance of winning? Because I thought after him throwing those 3 picks that he was out and Aaron Rodgers and the Packers were going to come out and win it, and that didn't happen. So we saw the outcome of that. Will Tom Brady be as lucky?
No.
If that happens?
No. In fact, Noodle Arm down in New Orleans threw 3 picks, and Tampa beat them because of where the picks were. So that team up in Wisconsin just couldn't capitalize. That's why they lost the game. But when Noodle Arm threw those 3 picks down in the dome to Tampa, Tom capitalized on those interceptions, and that's why they won. Can't do that with Patrick Mahomes. You can't give him 3 opportunities, especially if the field is flipped. That's a nightmare. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think the 3 interceptions that Brady threw and lack of, I guess, taking the opportunity by I'm trying to come up with an acronym for that Wisconsin team that Paul will not mention. I think that reflects more. I think that reflects more on the Wisconsin team than it did on the Tampa Bay. Because in any other situation, team would have took advantage of that. We'd have had a much different outcome. I don't know what they were like. What happened to them in that situation? If Tom were to repeat that performance, and especially, it's one thing to have an interception in the first quarter, one in the third, and then maybe another in the fourth. But when you go back to back to back, and the other team can only put up, what was it, Ed? 6 points. That's 6 points. That's such a rarity. I guess in a couple of instances, I was watching the game just like everybody else, and when Tom threw one up, I was like, that's just as good as a punt. So, maybe that was to their advantage, but the fact that Wisconsin football team didn't take advantage of it, yeah, that's just like I said, that reflects more on them than I think it did on. Go ahead, Ed.
But Ed, give the Buccaneers defense credit. They held.
Oh, absolutely,
They held Devontae Adams to under 70 yards receiving. Their running game did nothing. Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams and A.J. Dillon did nothing as far as the running game goes. So that's why they only got 6 points, because that defense was stellar. They got those stops when they needed to. They were like, okay, Tom, you threw 3 picks. Okay, it's on us to make up for your mistakes, and that's exactly what they did. Holding Aaron Rodgers and that offense to only 6 points on 3 turnovers. Meanwhile, they got 14 points off Green Bay's turnovers. So do the math.
Sometimes
I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, sometimes success can be your worst enemy. The last month of the season, Green Bay was rolling on all cylinders. We saw what they did when Tennessee went up there. They demolished them, and all of a sudden it went from, wow, Green Bay is the team to be. And then what happened was they kind of fell into mode of, well, nobody can stop us. We're just going to do what we do. And I think what happened is Tampa Bay went up there with a definite plan. We're going to shut Adams down. We're going to do this. And it's typical when everything is working and all of a sudden now it's not working. What do we do? And I thought that was a typical, because what I saw from the Wisconsin football team was they were going off the field, and there was no conversation of, okay, what do we do now? It was Rodgers and them sitting over there befuddled, like, okay, they're stopping what we're doing.